Hello everyone. So we will continue with our topic, that is internal ear. In internal ear, this is bony labyrinth, and inside bony labyrinth there is membranous labyrinth. The word labyrinth means maze or puzzle, zigzag type puzzle. So it's given the name labyrinth. So it has three parts. This is our anterior side, this is posterior side, this is superior, and this is inferior, and this is of right side. So here anteriorly we have 2.75 tons of round cochlea. So this is cochlea. In the center we have vestibule. This vestibule inside has two parts, that is utricle and saccule. That means in bony labyrinth both are in one box, that is called vestibule, and in membranous labyrinth, inside bony labyrinth, it is divided in two parts. This is utricle and this is saccule. They both are uniting here. That united duct is called utriculosaccular duct. This duct continues with endolymphatic duct and it ends in the sac. So again, this is utriculosaccular duct continuing with endolymphatic duct and terminating in endolymphatic sac. And third part is semicircular canal. So cochlea, vestibule, and semicircular canal. These are the three parts of bony labyrinth. So in semicircular canal is a U-shaped canal. They are oriented at 90° or right angle to each other. We will see in another diagram the orientation of these canals. This is anterior semicircular canal. This is posterior semicircular canal. This one is lateral semicircular canal. So if it is U-shaped, there is two different openings. These are the two openings of lateral canal. These are the two openings of anterior canal, and this is openings of posterior canal. So any one end of this canal, because it is U-shaped, it has two ends. So any one end is dilated. So dilatation is called ampulla. So this dilatation of anterior semicircular canal is called ampulla. Similar dilatation here, ampulla of lateral semicircular canal. Here it is ampulla of posterior semicircular canal. Now other than this canal ampulla, another end of anterior and posterior canal, they are combined here, connected, and they are forming common canal. So this part is called crus commune. That is common crus of anterior and posterior semicircular canal. So these two are merging here and forming crus commune. And lateral one is separate, it does not unite with any of them. So now we will see orientation of these canals in another diagram. See here, this is transverse section of skull bone. You can make out here anterior cranial fossa, middle cranial fossa, and here posterior cranial fossa. This one is your petrous temporal bone, obliquely placed. Somewhere here you have your middle ear cavity. So this yellow part represents vestibulocochlear nerve and facial nerve entering in this opening, that is called internal acoustic meatus. From here cochlear nerve separates and enters in cochlea. Vestibular nerve separates and it enters in vestibule and semicircular canals. Vestibular nerve will divide in 5 different divisions we will see in membranous labyrinth. So now focus on these semicircular canals. This is schematic diagram to show. This is right side, this is left side, this is right side, this is left side. So if you see here on left side, this side, anterior semicircular canal is placed anterolaterally. Posterior semicircular canal is placed posterolaterally. And lateral semicircular canal is in transverse plane. Again, this anterior canal is in anterolateral plane, posterior canal is in posterolateral plane, and lateral canal is in transverse plane. So here there is angle of 90 degree between anterior and posterior canal, and if you draw imaginary transverse plane, then it will also form 90 degree angle with the rest of the two. Just like your mathematics class, x axis, y axis and z axis, they all are forming 90 degree with each other. Similar orientation is here. So this represents anterior semicircular canal and its plane. This represents posterior semicircular canal and its plane, and this transverse is lateral semicircular canal and its plane. They all are forming 90 degree with each other. If you compare it with another side, that is right side, here now anterior semicircular canal of left side is in the same plane with posterior semicircular canal of right side. Similarly, anterior semicircular canal of right side is in the same plane with posterior semicircular canal of left side. Okay, and lateral semicircular canal of both right and left side, they are in the same horizontal plane. Now we will focus on cochlea. See again, this is your cochlea. Outside there is bony labyrinth. Inside, this blue color represents membranous labyrinth. So if you see bony labyrinth of cochlea, this diagram, this represents whole bony labyrinth close view from outside. This represents opened bony labyrinth cut section. So this is our cochlea, bony labyrinth. If you cut open this cochlea, then this one cylinder, if you go inside this, there is one transverse crest. This, if you open this part, see here, it is divided in upper and lower parts. Upper part is called scala vestibuli, lower part is called scala tympani. They both are divided by this crest that is called osseous spiral lamina. So this osseous spiral lamina runs in the one turn of cochlea and it keeps on dividing it in upper part and lower part. This we will have again in organ of Corti. So remember these terms. If you come here in vestibule, okay, this is your vestibule. So this vestibule is whole bony labyrinth. If you go inside, then membranous part of vestibule will separate in saccule and utricle. And the third portion will continue with membranous cochlear duct. So for these three structures, we have three different recesses inside vestibule. Which three structures again? Utricle here, saccule here, and duct of cochlea. utricle here, saccule here, and this duct of cochlea. For these three structures, we have three different recesses. This is elliptical recess. It is for utricle. This is spherical recess. It is for saccule. This is cochlear recess. It is for cochlear duct. Again, elliptical recess for utricle, spherical recess for saccule, and cochlear recess for duct of cochlea. This will continue with duct of cochlea. Here, spherical recess will open, it will lodge saccule, and elliptical recess will lodge utricle. Then if you enter here, this is ampulla. So ampulla will hold ampullary crest. It is also known as crista ampullaris. It is specialized sensory epithelial organ. A specialized organ for cochlea, it is called organ of Corti. Specialized organ for this utricle and saccule is called macula. Now if you see cut section of cochlea, this is cut section of only cochlea. We have seen upper opening is called scala vestibuli, lower opening is called scala tympani. Now this is 2.75 ton of cochlea. Here in the center, the bony tissue which is forming central axis of this cochlea, this is called modiolus. So modiolus is nothing but it is central bony axis of cochlea around which our cochlea turns. This between this upper and lower part, this is representing osseous spiral lamina. It contains these axons of this cochlear nerve. So now we want to understand these two words, hemulus and helicotrema. So hemulus is a bony part, pointed bony part, from which our scala vestibuli will become continuous with scala tympani. The word hemulus means pointed pulley-like structure. You have the same word hemulus, pterygoid hemulus, which is between medial and lateral pterygoid plate at the base of skull. If you remember this. Somewhere here, this area is pointed pulley-like at the end of medial pterygoid plate. It is called pterygoid hemulus. So similar word hemulus. It is bony point from which we become continuous from scala tympani to scala vestibuli. Okay, and the place, the point or the space from which our hemulus makes turn, that space is called helicotrema. So hemulus is a bony point and helicotrema is the name of space from which our scala vestibuli becomes continuous with scala tympani. That means if you enter from here, here, you take turn from hemulus at helicotrema, then you come back and you exit from here, here and here. And when we end here, this membranous portion closing scala tympani is called secondary tympanic membrane. Okay, we will take orientation of all these structures in one more schematic view. This is horizontal section representing bony and membranous labyrinths. This is external acoustic meatus and external auditory canal is ending here. Tympanic membrane. This is middle ear cavity. This is your oval window, which is closed by footplate of stapes. This is your round window, which is closed by secondary tympanic membrane. We have seen various aqueduct. The aqueduct is communicating with a dura mater in the brain tissue. Between utricle and saccule, this is utriculo-saccular duct. It is becoming continuous with endolymphatic duct and ends in endolymphatic sac. And this is in communication with meninges of the brain. And these communications here and here, that is potential communication. It is not a free one. So whenever there is pressure difference or ionic imbalance, they will maintain drainage through CSF. This is cochlear aqueduct. It is communicating a fluid of this cochlea to here with meninges. Now this bony membranous labyrinth portion, saccule communicating with cochlear duct, is called ductus reunions. So if you revise name of all the ducts, duct joining utricle and saccule, utriculo-saccular duct, continuous with endolymphatic duct. Duct joining saccule with cochlear duct is called ductus reunions, and then cochlear duct will turn at the helicotrema and become continuous with cochlear aqueduct. In this diagram, the bony point of tegmen tympani, petrous temporal bone, where your anterior, this ampulla of anterior semicircular canal is projected, it is called arcuate eminence. You can see here, this is our tegmen tympani. Somewhere here or here there is one bony point, that is called arcuate eminence. It represents ampulla of projection of anterior semicircular canal. Okay, now we will enter in our pure membranous labyrinth with the orientation of every bony points. So this is only membranous labyrinth portion. Remember earlier diagrams of bony labyrinth and orientation of various ducts. So we have ignored and removed all bony labyrinth portion. This is only membranous labyrinth. So this one is cochlear duct. This is our vestibule. It is containing utricle and saccule, and our semicircular canal inside contains semicircular duct, anterior, posterior and lateral semicircular duct. This is ampulla. It contains crista ampullaris inside this, and the nerve is anterior ampullary nerve. This is ampulla of lateral semicircular canal, crista ampullaris inside and innervated by lateral ampullary nerve. This is ampulla of posterior canal. Inside there is crista ampullaris. It is innervated by posterior ampullary nerve. So we have anterior, lateral and posterior ampullary nerves for the ampulla and sensory receptor epithelial cells of ampulla, crista ampullaris. Remaining two, this is utricular nerve. Now the name of sensory epithelium is macula of utricle, macula of saccule. We will see the structure of crista and macula in another diagram. So this utricular nerve will innervate macula of utricle. This saccular nerve will innervate macula of saccule, which is inside this tissue. These 3 plus 2 nerves, 3 ampullary nerves and 2 utricular and saccular nerves. These five will together enter in vestibular ganglion and continues with vestibular nerve. So this is our vestibular nerve, this is our vestibular ganglion, superior part of ganglion, inferior part of ganglion. Superior part will supply anterior and lateral ampullary nerve plus utricular nerve. Inferior part of ganglion will supply saccular nerve and posterior ampullary nerve. Similar ganglion here, it is called spiral ganglion. It is ganglion of cochlear nerve. We have seen in general anatomy that these are bipolar ganglion cells, just like uh, retina and olfactory neurons. So the spatial sensory ganglion, they are always bipolar. So this is not a single connection like this. This is collection of aggregation of all these ganglion cell bodies. Function: this vestibular ganglion and vestibular nerve, when connected with these sensory epithelial cells, they are together concerned with balance function. By the word balance we means linear and angular motion. And this cochlear nerve and spiral ganglia, they are concerned with hearing function. So it is carried out by this organ of Corti, which is inside this cochlea. So now we will try to understand organ of Corti. This is cross section of cochlear duct. Central portion, this one represents cochlear duct. Outside, this bone represents bony labyrinth wall, and there is a little space between bony labyrinth wall and this cochlear duct. Space is on upper side and lower side, as we have seen earlier. Upper space scala vestibulis and lower space scala tympani, both are filled with the same fluid, that is called perilymph. So this is continuous at humulus and helicotrema, we have seen earlier. So this is filled with perilymph. Inside, this one represents our cochlear duct. It is filled with endolymph. Now this endolymph is secreted or synthesized by specialized tissue called stria vascularis. This stria vascularis synthesize and secrete endolymph. There are melanocytes inside this tissue. It is highly vascular tissue. So these melanocytes help in synthesis of this fluid. Here we have basilar membrane. This oblique one represents vestibular membrane. It is also known as Reisner's membrane. Basilar membrane here, it is attached with bony portion, that is osseous spiral lamina. From this osseous spiral lamina, two membranes are attached. The horizontal one is basilar membrane and this oblique one is vestibular membrane. This extension of this osseous spiral lamina here, it is called spiral limbus. Limbus is a rounded structure, so it will turn with the whole cochlear. This spiral limbus is giving attachment to another membrane that is called tectorial membrane, also known as membrana tectoria. This membrana tectoria word you will again have in upper part of cerebellum, transverse fold of meninges. So this is gelatinous membrane. In this membrane, in lower part, there is embedded cilia of hair cells. This is outer hair cells. This is inner hair cells. These hair cells on the apex, upper part, they are having cilia. These cilia are projecting in this gelatinous tectorial membrane. Space between this outer hair cell and inner hair cell is called tunnel of Corti. This T represents tunnel of Corti. And space between outer hair cells is space of Newell. There is also another special cells or stem cells. They are called basal cells. These basal cells, they are acting as stem cells, and they will give rise to new cells when required. And there is another cell called supporting cells. So outer hair cell, inner hair cell, and then supporting cells. At the lower part of these hair cells, there is axons coming. All these axons will travel here and they will collectively form cochlear nerve. They will terminate in spiral ganglion and their central process will enter in cochlear nerve. Now we will try to see the specialized sensory epithelial cells of crista ampullaris. So this is ampullary crest or crista ampullaris. This is gelatinous membrane similar to organ of Corti. It is called cupula. Inside this cupula there is embedded cilia of these specialized hair cells. These hair cells, they are representing this cilia. This larger one is called kinocilium. And smaller one they are called stereocilia. So there is one kinocilium, larger one, and smaller descending order cilia, that is called stereocilia. They both are projecting inside gelatinous membrane called cupula. Now when there is angular motion, these hair cells will have deflection of these cilia, kinocilium and stereocilia, and combination of all these three canal of right side and three canal of left side, that combined input will be interpreted in cerebral cortex. So that represents balance function. So its counterpart, this is macula. Macula, as you remember, it is specialized sensory epithelium of utricle and saccule. The difference is that here it is a gelatinous membrane containing crystals of calcium carbonate. These crystals are known as conia. So this is called otoconia or steatoconia. So this membrane of this otoconia is also known as otolithic membrane. So this gelatinous mass represents one calcium carbonate membrane called otolithic membrane. So there is a function of gravity. Again, these are the kinocilium and stereocilia. These are our sensory receptor cells. There is type 1 and type 2 hair cells. Accordingly, they will have similar axons. And the other cells, they are supporting cells or basal cells. At the base of these sensory cells, we have these nerve fibers terminating in nerve. So blood supply of this whole labyrinth, it is labyrinthine branch of basilar artery, and another one is stylomastoid branch of posterior auricular artery. Venous drainage is in upper part, it is connected to superior petrosal and transverse sinus, and in lower part they are connected to internal jugular vein. Clinical anatomy, as we have seen, stria vascularis is having melanocytes. So in one congenital disorder, when there is complete absence of melanin, that is called albinism. So the person will have no melanin at all. So the skin is absolutely white, hair is absolutely white, and there is deafness due to absence of melanocytes in stria vascularis. So this albinism person are associated with deafness. Pain of ear is referred to various parts. The pain of ear is called otalgia. It is referred to all the nerves communicated. You can see in this flow chart given in your textbook. So all the nerves connected to middle ear and internal ear, they will progressively have symptoms. Initially, there is acute phase of infection. So suppose it is acute otitis media. If it is not treated or progressing, it will convert in chronic suppurative otitis media, also known as ASOM and CSOM. So it can spread infection to internal ear as well, and there is symptoms accordingly. If this infection spreads upwards, as we have seen earlier, they are in communication with meninges. So there can be meningitis, there can be temporal lobe abscess, or if it is restricted to lower part, then it is lower motor neuron type of palsy of 7th or 8th nerve. There can be venous involvement, so sinus thrombosis. Inflammation of labyrinth is called labyrinthitis. It can result in vertigo, tinnitus, and sensory neural deafness. This is classical triad of symptoms. Again, vertigo, tinnitus, and sensory neural deafness. In worst come worst cases, if it is spreading behind, it is mastoiditis. If it is spreading in the brain, then temporal lobe abscess or cerebellar abscess even. In ENT subject, you will learn these two tests. One is Rein's test and one is Weber's test. They are specialized tests for bone conduction and air conduction of sound. In case of tumor of CP angle, that is cerebellopontine angle tumor, usually that is astrocytoma or any meningeal or vascular tumor. This is a CP angle tumor, is a place of origin of 7th and 8th cranial nerve. You will learn in brain stem. So in case of this space occupying lesion or tumor, these nerves are compressed and it will result in lower motor neuron palsy symptoms. Okay friends, I will complete here. If you have any query or questions or suggestion, you can write in comment box. You know that there is transmission issues in the Zoom and free conference call software and all other softwares. They are not as perfect or clear as like YouTube. So we will continue our YouTube as much as possible. Hope we will meet again in another lecture. Thank you. Bye bye.